네, 여러분 안녕하십니까. 지금 저희 옆에는 조지아주의 연방하원이신 조디 하이스 의원님 지금 나와 계십니다. 조지아주의 지금 Secretary of State이죠. 그 주 국무장관 선거에 출마하고 있고 도널드 트럼프 대통령의 지지를 받은 상태인데 제가 준비한 질문 몇 가지 드려보도록 하겠습니다. First of all, thank you for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Why did you decide to run for the Secretary of State?
Because election integrity matters. You know, our country is based upon the voice of the people being heard,
Yes.
and that predominantly takes place at the ballot box. And if ever the ballot box is compromised in the United States, then we're in big trouble. And I am thoroughly convinced it was majorly compromised in Georgia this past election cycle, and Brad Raffensperger allowed that to happen, and he needs to be replaced.
Why the 래팬스퍼거 does not change his words? Evidence has been proved already. But
Yeah, I mean, he has been saying for a year now that it was the safest election in the history of the state of Georgia, and it absolutely was not. I mean, there were so many problems, beginning with sending out absentee ballot requests to everyone on our voter registration file. That was a disaster.
Right.
The drop-off boxes, an absolute disaster. There are so many problems in this. In fact, only 23% of Georgians believe that this upcoming election is going to be accurate and fair.
Yes.
And that's a strong indication of the dismal performance of Brad Raffensperger.
Oh, okay. 래팬스퍼거 says there was not enough overwhelming fraud. Do you agree with that?
There was enormous fraud. I mean, you know, again, you look at the absentee ballot requests going out to active and inactive voters. We have 10% of our file is inaccurate. So when you have 7 million voters and 10% of them don't belong on our voter registration file, that's a problem. And that was just the beginning of some horrible decisions that Raffensperger made.
If there's a problem, then we need to start an investigation, right?
Right.
Why the investigation is not going on?
Because Brad has not followed up on it. There have been many of us who have been calling for forensic audits, for investigations. Now, there are some investigations underway, and hopefully we will be getting some information as to what is coming out of those investigations in the near future. But for the most part, Brad has done nothing. In fact, he has been obstructing investigations all year long until finally he's kind of been backed into a corner, having to admit.
Do we have another options like using the make Chris Carr works on this issue?
Right. I mean, you know, you've got the Secretary of State, part of the executive branch. You have obviously the legislative, executive, and judicial branch. And the Secretary of State cannot prosecute people who violate our election laws, but the Office of the Attorney General can. And so they've got to work in tandem with one another to do that. So the Secretary of State investigates a potential fraudulent activity. After he gets his investigation, he makes a referral to the Attorney General to go after these people or not.
So the key was the 래팬스퍼거.
Right, but it all stops with Raffensperger. That's correct.
What about Brian Kemp? The governor has power to indicate to start investigation.
You know, that's an interesting question. That the Secretary of State has authority over elections. Period. Not the governor. Now, the governor can be vocal. The governor can be vocal.
Yes.
The governor can encourage investigations and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the Secretary of State. That's his job. And Raffensperger miserably failed.
I see. Do you have any suggestions for the next election integrity? You know, the election integrity in the state of Georgia is most important issue for us, actually.
Right.
So, do you have any plans for doing safe election next
Well,
time?
this next election will still be under the authority of Brad Raffensperger, which gives a great deal of concern to many people.
Yes.
But the General Assembly has put forth some legislation, now signed into law, SB 202, that is a strong step in the direction of restoring
Right.
election integrity.
Right.
And so we need a Secretary of State, and hopefully Brad Raffensperger in this upcoming election will, in fact, enforce the laws that are his duty and his responsibility to enforce.
But unfortunately, the President Trump did not satisfy about our new election laws because it allows the mail ballot. Also, it allows to use the ballot boxes. So
Right.
we still
Yeah.
have some problem in
Yeah, there's no doubt there's some. SB 202 is a foundation. It's not the end. In fact, even now, the General Assembly is strengthening SB 202 and passing some additional legislation. But you're right. SB 2 is not the end all, but it is the beginning
Yes.
of legitimate reforms that we need. We need some more,
Yes, sir.
and but it's a good place to start.
Oh, okay. Do you expect some more laws from the state
Yes.
legislatures?
Yes, I do. In fact, they're doing that right now.
So talk about forensic audit. Actually, one of the ex-governor candidate, Vernon Jones, and he talked about the forensic audit through whole around of Georgia.
All the state.
Yes. Do you agree with
I
him?
absolutely agree. In fact, I've called on that. Again, in order for voters to have confidence
Yes.
that their vote counts, there must be integrity. And part of integrity in the election process is transparency.
Yes.
And the forensic audit is a means of producing a transparent election result.
Right.
And so I think it's something that needs to take place, and I certainly am supportive of it.
Okay. Talking about the Stacey Abrams, she said that there are many unlawful cancellations under the when the Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State. She claims about the cancellation of ballots. What do you think about that?
Look, Stacey Abrams is still claiming that she's governor, too. She has never conceded since 2018.
Yes.
In 2018, when she lost, she claimed voter suppression without any evidence of voter suppression. But it was in a totally different environment in 2018 when she lost. We did not send out absentee ballot requests to everyone on the file at that point. We did not have drop-off boxes. So for her to try to compare her election with that in 2020 just can't be done. I mean, they're totally two different things. There is no evidence of voter suppression from 2018, but we have enormous evidence of irregularities and wrongdoing in 2020.
We're expecting a big win in this midterm election. That how much do you expect? Like 50 seats or 60 seats?
Oh, wow. I like the way you think. I'm not sure what to expect. I do anticipate a big red wave across America. I think Americans are rejecting the socialist radical agenda from the left, and I believe we're going to see a strong red wave, and I hope it's 56, 66, 76%, whatever it may be. We'll wait and see, but I can't make any predictions specifically, but I do think we're going to see some strong wins.
Okay. Do you have any comments for the Asian communities?
Listen, Georgia is a proud home of many, many thousands of Asians, and we are honored to have each of you here, and I would ask for your vote. We all realize the importance of free and fair elections, and we need a Secretary of State who will defend that at all costs. And so I'm honored to ask for the support of all in our Asian community.
네, 지금 말씀 들으신 것처럼요, 지금 조지아주의 선거 청렴성 굉장히 중요한 이슈이고, 그것을 지금 바로잡기 위해서 우리 조디 하이스 연방의원이 연방의원 자리를 버리고 지금 조지아주 국무장관 선거에 뛰어든 그런 상황입니다. 여러분들 기억해 주시고, 이분이 꼭 좋은 성과를 내서 조지아주가 깨끗한 선거를 치를 수 있도록 성원해 주시면 정말 좋겠다라는 생각하면서 오늘 인터뷰 여기서 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.